Stop scrolling for a second, because what I'm about to tell you could change your life in the next 30 days. Everything you want: more money, better health, stronger relationships. It's not out there waiting for you. It's inside you. And right now, your future self is begging you to start becoming the person who can handle it. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Nothing in your life truly changes until you change. You can move to a new city. You can get a new job. You can meet new people. But if you bring the same habits, the same thinking, the same excuses, you will recreate the same life in a different place. Because your life is not controlled by the world around you. It is controlled by the world inside you. Think about it. If you improve the way you think, your decisions improve. If your decisions improve, your actions improve. If your actions improve, your results improve. And suddenly, your money looks different. Your health feels different. Your relationships sound different. Your confidence stands different. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Most people spend their whole lives trying to fix the outside. They try to fix the economy. They try to fix their boss. They try to fix their partner. They try to fix their past. But the strongest move you can ever make is to fix the one thing you actually control: yourself. Because when you get stronger, problems get smaller. When you get wiser, mistakes get fewer. When you get disciplined, opportunities get bigger. Life does not reward your intentions. It rewards your identity. Not what you want, but who you become. If you become a better thinker, you create better plans. If you become emotionally stronger, you stop quitting when it hurts. If you become more skilled, you become more valuable. And value always attracts reward. That's why two people can live in the same city, with the same education, in the same economy, and one struggles while the other thrives. Same world, different person. Everything improves when the person improves. Here's the dangerous lie people believe: I'll change when things get easier. But things get easier when you get better, not the other way around. Your future doesn't depend on luck. It depends on growth. And growth is not a big dramatic moment. It's small decisions made consistently when no one is watching. Choosing to learn instead of complain. Choosing to act instead of wait. Choosing discipline instead of comfort. Those choices shape character. Character shapes destiny. If you improve your communication, your relationships improve. If you improve your self-control, your finances improve. If you improve your attitude, your stress decreases. If you improve your standards, your whole life rises. You don't need a new personality. You need a stronger one. You don't need a new life. You need a new level. And that level is built one habit at a time, one book at a time, one hard decision at a time. Look at your life right now. Not with shame, with honesty. What area needs growth? Your discipline, your confidence, your patience, your courage. Because that area is the key to everything else. You don't improve your life directly. You improve yourself and life follows. That's the order. Grow first. Results later. Change first. Rewards later. Become first. Receive later. When you raise your inner standard, your outer world must rise to meet it. You stop tolerating what weakens you. You start choosing what strengthens you. And suddenly, the same work brings more reward. The same time creates more value. The same effort produces more impact. Not because the world gave you more, but because you became more. And when you become more, everything you touch starts to improve. Most people think their future is built by big decisions. The job they choose, the city they live in, the person they marry. But the truth is, your future is built by what you do over and over, every single day. Your life is not shaped by one powerful moment. It is shaped by small habits repeated until they become automatic. What you eat daily, what you think daily, what you tolerate daily, what you avoid daily. Those things don't look important in the moment, but they are quietly deciding where you will be in 5 years. You don't wake up one day successful. You wake up one day as the result of 1,000 small disciplines. And you don't wake up one day broken either. You arrive there by tiny neglects done consistently. Your habits are the invisible architects of your destiny. They are always working. When you feel motivated, when you feel tired, when you feel bored, they don't care about your goals. They only care about your routine. If your routine is weak, your future will be weak. If your routine is strong, your future will be strong. And here's what most people miss. You don't need massive change. You need consistent change. A better morning, a better first hour, a better daily decision. Reading instead of scrolling, moving your body instead of sitting, planning instead of reacting. Those simple actions stack up into identity. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. Your habits decide how much energy you have, how focused you are, how confident you feel, how disciplined you become. And once something becomes a habit, it stops requiring motivation. It becomes who you are. That's why some people train even when they don't feel like it. That's why some people study even when they are tired. That's why some people save money even when it's hard. Not because they are special, but because they train themselves to do what matters without negotiation. Your destiny is not decided by what you do once. It is decided by what you do when no one is watching, when there is no applause, no reward, no pressure, just you and your standards. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you delay, you vote for weakness. Every time you act, you vote for strength. And those votes add up. Look at your daily life, not your goals, your schedule, because your schedule is the real truth. If your days are disorganized, your future will be unstable. If your days are disciplined, your future will be powerful. Your habits decide what you deserve, not because the world is fair, but because habits create skill, and skill creates value, and value is always rewarded. Here's the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, what do I want? Start asking, what must I do daily to become the person who gets it? Because results follow identity. If you want confidence, build the habit of courage. If you want wealth, build the habit of discipline. If you want peace, build the habit of control. Your life will never outperform your daily routine. Tiny changes look useless at first. One workout doesn't change your body. One book doesn't change your mind. One smart choice doesn't change your future. But done daily, they change everything. Habits are compound interest for your character. What feels slow today becomes unstoppable tomorrow, and what feels easy today becomes expensive later. Your destiny is being written in ordinary moments. What time you wake up, what you do when you're tired, what you do when you're bored, what you do when you're uncomfortable. Those moments don't look heroic, but they decide who you become, and who you become decides what you get. Most people don't fail because they aim too low. They fail because they accept too low. They tolerate things that slowly destroy their future. They tolerate being tired all the time. They tolerate being broke all the time. They tolerate being treated badly. They tolerate quitting on themselves. And whatever you tolerate, you train your life to deliver. Your life is a direct reflection of the standards you hold. Not what you hope for, not what you wish for, not what you talk about, what you accept. If you accept late nights and no discipline, you get a weak tomorrow. If you accept excuses, you get average results. If you accept chaos, you get a chaotic life. But the moment your standards rise, your life is forced to rise with them. A standard is not a goal. A goal says, I don't want to be healthy. A standard says, I don't live unhealthy anymore. A goal says, I want success. A standard says, I don't accept failure as my identity. A goal says, I want confidence. A standard says, I will not speak badly about myself again. Standards are not wishes. They are rules. Rules you live by. Rules that shape your choices. Rules that shape your future. Here's what most people do. They lower their standards to match their excuses. They say, this is just how I am. This is just how life is. This is just how people treat me. But that is not reality. That is training. You are training your nervous system to believe that less is normal. And what feels normal becomes permanent. Until one day, you look at your life and wonder how you got here. You didn't fall here. You practiced here. You don't change your life by demanding more from the world. You change your life by demanding more from yourself. Raising your standard means you no longer negotiate with your weakness. You no longer say, I'll try. You say, I will. You no longer say, it's too hard. You say, it must be done. You no longer wait until you feel like it. You act because that is who you are now. When your standards rise, your behavior must rise. You stop eating what hurts you. You stop staying where you are disrespected. You stop wasting time on what drains you, not because it's easy, but because it's unacceptable to live any other way. Pain changes when it gets stronger than pleasure, and standards change when pain becomes non-negotiable. Look at your life honestly. Where are you settling? In your discipline, in your relationships, in your effort, in your thinking? Because every area where you accept less becomes an area where life gives you less. Your standards decide what you walk away from, what you fight for, what you protect. They decide who you become. People don't rise to their hopes, they rise to their standards. If your standard is comfort, you will choose comfort. If your standard is growth, you will choose growth. If your standard is survival, you will settle. If your standard is excellence, you will stretch. And stretching changes identity. Raising your standard does not mean being perfect. It means being honest. It means saying, this is no longer good enough. This behavior no longer fits who I am. This habit no longer belongs in my future. And once you make that decision, your brain starts searching for ways to obey it. Your actions start aligning with your identity. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You can trace every breakthrough back to a moment when someone decided to no longer accept the old way of living. They didn't get lucky. They got clear. They didn't wait. They raised the line. And life had to meet them there. Your standards are the invisible line that your life must follow. Where you draw that line decides how high your life can go. Raise the line and everything above it must rise too. Most people think their life is controlled by circumstances, by the economy, by their past, by their family, by luck. But the real control center of your life is something far more powerful. The way you think about life. Your philosophy is not what you say you believe. It is what you act on. It is how you explain failure, how you explain success, how you explain pain, how you explain effort. And those explanations become your limits or your launch pad. If you believe life is unfair, you will stop trying. If you believe effort doesn't matter, you will stop growing. If you believe nothing works for you, you will stop acting. Not because it's true, but because your belief became your command. Your philosophy is the filter through which you see everything. Two people can face the same problem. One becomes bitter, the other becomes better. Same event, different meaning. One says, this is happening to me. The other says, this is happening for me. And that single shift changes behavior. Behavior changes results. Results shape destiny. You don't respond to life as it is. You respond to life as you interpret it. If you see failure as proof that you are not good enough, you quit. If you see failure as feedback, you learn. If you see discipline as punishment, you avoid it. If you see discipline as freedom, you build it, meaning creates motion. Your philosophy controls how much effort you give, how long you persist, how much risk you take. If you believe success is reserved for special people, you will stay small. If you believe success is built, you will stay in the game. If you believe growth is painful, you will resist it. If you believe growth is power, you will chase it. What you believe about struggle decides whether you rise or retreat. Look at your patterns. When something goes wrong, what story do you tell yourself? Do you say, this always happens to me? Do you say, I'm just unlucky? Do you say, why even try? Those are not facts, those are philosophies. And every philosophy creates a future. You don't need a new life, you need a new lens. A lens that says, my actions matter. A lens that says, I can improve. A lens that says, I am responsible for my response. Because responsibility is the birthplace of power. The moment you say, this is on me, you gain control. Not control over the world, but control over your direction. Your philosophy also decides how you use time. Some people believe time is something to kill. Some believe time is something to invest. Some believe learning ends at school. Some believe learning ends at death. Some believe effort is exhausting. Some believe effort is identity. And those beliefs decide who grows and who stays the same. Life will always bring problems. That is guaranteed. But your philosophy decides whether problems make you stronger or smaller. If you believe pain means stop, you stop. If you believe pain means adapt, you evolve. If you believe difficulty is danger, you hide. If you believe difficulty is training, you rise. Every result you have is tied to a belief you may not even be aware of. Your income reflects what you believe about value. Your relationships reflect what you believe about yourself. Your health reflects what you believe about discipline. Your stress reflects what you believe about control. Change the belief, and behavior must change. Change the behavior, and results cannot stay the same. You don't have to change everything. You just have to change what you think is possible, what you think is acceptable, what you think is required. Because once your philosophy shifts, your actions follow. And once your actions follow, your future has no choice but to follow too. You are not stuck with your life. You are living inside a story you've been telling yourself. And the moment you tell a better story, your life must create better results. Not because the world changed, but because the way you meet it did. Most people avoid discipline because they think it is heavy. They think discipline means suffering. They think it means restriction. They think it means saying no to everything that feels good. But that is not the truth. The real weight in life is not discipline. The real weight is regret. Discipline is waking up early when your bed feels warm. Regret is waking up late to a life you don't want. Discipline is saving a little money when you want to spend it. Regret is needing money when you don't have it. Discipline is having the hard conversation when it feels uncomfortable. Regret is staying silent and watching everything fall apart. One feels heavy in the moment, the other feels heavy for years. Discipline is a short pain with a long reward. Regret is a short pleasure with a long pain. And yet, most people choose the long pain, not because they want it, but because they don't see it coming. Regret is quiet at first. It whispers. It's okay to skip today. It's okay to wait. You can do it tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year, and one day you look back and realize it. You didn't fail all at once. You failed by not doing what you knew you should do. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is choosing progress over comfort. It is doing what matters, even when you don't feel like it, because feelings change, but direction is built by action. You don't need discipline when things are easy. You need discipline when things are boring, when things are hard, when no one is watching. That is when your future is decided. Look at the areas where people feel the most regret: health, money, relationships, time. And in every one of those areas, the story is the same. I knew what to do, but I didn't do it. That is not lack of knowledge. That is lack of discipline. People don't regret what they tried. They regret what they avoided. They regret the workout they skipped, the skill they didn't learn, the apology they didn't make, the risk they didn't take. Regret is built from unfinished decisions. Discipline is a form of self-respect. It is saying, oh, my future matters. It is saying, I will not trade what I want most for what I want now. It is saying, I will carry a little weight today so I don't have to carry a heavy heart tomorrow. And the strange thing is, discipline gets lighter with practice. The first day is heavy. The first week is heavy. The first month is heavy. But then it becomes who you are. And regret never gets lighter. It only grows. You can feel the difference between discipline pain and regret pain. Discipline pain says, this is building me. Regret pain says, this is reminding me. Discipline pain makes you stronger. Regret pain makes you smaller. One looks forward. One looks back, and life will charge you one of them. There is no free path. You either pay now with effort, or you pay later with emotion. Think about your future self. Not 10 years from now, 1 year from now. What will that person thank you for? Waking up earlier, eating better, learning more, saving more, speaking up, trying again. Those are small acts of discipline that create massive relief later. Regret never comes from effort. It comes from delay. It comes from knowing you could have become more and choosing not to. Discipline is choosing who you want to be before life chooses for you. It is shaping your future instead of apologizing to it. It is a daily vote for strength over comfort. And every time you choose discipline, you make regret weaker. Every time you avoid discipline, you make regret stronger. One grows muscles, the other grows memories. And one day, those memories will be heavier than any effort you were afraid to make. Most people spend their entire life working on their job. They work on their position. They work on their paycheck. They work on their title. They work on their schedule. but they forget the most important project they will ever work on: themselves. Your job can change tomorrow. Your company can change tomorrow. Your industry can change tomorrow. But the person you become, that stays with you everywhere you go. If you grow in skill, you can work anywhere. If you grow in confidence, you can handle anything. If you grow in discipline, you can build something new from nothing. But if you only work on your job and not on yourself, you become dependent on circumstances. A job pays you for what you do. Life rewards you for what you become. There is a limit to what you can earn by working harder at work, but there is no limit to what you can earn by working harder on you. Because when you improve your thinking, you improve your decisions. When you improve your decisions, you improve your direction, and direction is more powerful than speed. Some people say, I don't have time to work on myself, but they have time to watch shows, to scroll, to complain, to repeat the same routines. The truth is not that they don't have time, it's that they don't see the value. Working on yourself doesn't always feel urgent, but it is always important. It doesn't scream, it whispers. Read instead of relax, train instead of wait, think instead of react. Those choices don't give immediate applause, but they give long-term power. When you work on your job, you improve your income. When you work on yourself, you improve your capacity. And capacity decides how much income you can handle. It decides how much pressure you can take. It decides how much responsibility you can hold. If you don't grow, your inner strength, outer success will crush you. That's why some people get more money and more stress, more opportunity and more fear, more success and more emptiness. They upgraded their lifestyle but never upgraded their identity. Working on yourself means sharpening your mind, learning how to focus, learning how to communicate, learning how to control emotion, learning how to solve problems. It means studying people who are better than you instead of competing with people who are behind you. It means asking, what skill would change my future if I mastered it? And then practicing when it feels boring. The world will always pay more for value than for effort. Effort says, I worked hard today. Value says, I became better today. Effort can make you tired. Value makes you dangerous in a good way, because value travels. If you lose a job but keep your skills, you are not lost. If you lose money but keep your mindset, you are not broken. If you lose comfort but keep your character, you are not defeated. Working on yourself also means working on your character, how you speak to people, how you handle pressure, how you respond to failure, how you manage temptation. Success without character creates chaos. Money without discipline creates stress. Influence without integrity creates fear. But when your inner world grows, your outer world can grow safely. Imagine two people with the same job. One only works for the paycheck, the other works for growth. They both start in the same place, but one studies at night, one reflects on mistakes, one improves communication, one builds emotional control. After a year, they are not the same person. Same job, different future. Your job is a classroom, but only if you decide to learn. Your challenges are training, but only if you decide to grow. Your failures are lessons, but only if you decide to listen. Working on yourself turns ordinary days into preparation. It turns routine into power. You don't have to quit your job to work on yourself. You just have to stop letting your job be the only thing you work on. 10 minutes of learning a day beats 10 years of wishing. One new skill beats one more excuse. One habit of growth beats one more complaint. You will never outgrow your level of thinking. You will never out-earn your level of discipline. You will never outperform your level of character. That's why the greatest investment is not in stocks, not in property, not in titles. It is in the person you are becoming. Because when you work harder on yourself, your job becomes easier. Your choices become clearer, your confidence becomes steadier, and your future becomes something you create instead of something you fear. Most people believe success is complicated. They think it requires perfect timing, perfect connections, perfect talent. They think there must be a secret code they were never given. But the truth is, success is not complex, it is simple. What makes it hard is that simple things must be done consistently. Eat better, move your body, learn every day, save more than you spend, treat people with respect. Show up when it's uncomfortable. Do the work when no one is clapping. None of that is confusing, but none of that is easy. Because simple does not mean painless. Simple does not mean comfortable. Simple does not mean automatic. Simple means clear, and clarity is what most people run from. Success is simple because the formula is known. Effort creates skill. Skill creates value. Value creates reward. Discipline creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. There is no mystery there. The difficulty is not knowing what to do. The difficulty is doing it when you don't feel like it. Most people want the result without the routine. They want the body without the training. They want the money without the discipline. They want the respect without the character. They say they want success, but they avoid the habits that create it, not because they are weak, but because comfort is loud. Comfort says, rest now. Discipline says, grow now. And comfort always feels right in the moment. Simple actions look too small to matter. One workout, one page of reading, one saved dollar, one brave conversation. It doesn't look heroic, but repeated, it becomes identity. And identity becomes destiny. What makes success not easy is that it asks for your attention when nothing exciting is happening, when progress is invisible, when results are quiet, when motivation is gone. It asks you to act without evidence, to plant seeds before you see fruit, to build character before you get credit. That's the test. Success is simple, but it is boring to the ego. The ego wants drama. The ego wants shortcuts. The ego wants applause before performance. But growth wants structure. Growth wants repetition. Growth wants humility. And humility says, I will do the basics until the basics change my life. People quit because they think it should feel different. They think discipline should feel exciting. They think consistency should feel inspiring. But most of the time it feels ordinary. And ordinary is where most people stop because they confuse lack of emotion with lack of progress. They say, I don't feel motivated. But success was never about feeling. It was about commitment. There is no special personality for success. There is no special background for growth. There is only a pattern. Show up, do the work, adjust, repeat. That pattern looks unimpressive until it compounds. The gym is simple. Pick up the weight, put it down, do it again. But not everyone does it. Saving money is simple. Spend less than you earn. Do it again tomorrow. But not everyone does it. Learning is simple. Read, practice, apply. But not everyone does it. So success is not rare because it is complicated. It is rare because it is boring to people who crave excitement. And yet, on the other side of boring is freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from chaos, freedom from regret. Because simple actions build strong futures. What keeps people stuck is not lack of intelligence. It is lack of consistency. They do the right thing once and expect magic. But success does not respond to intensity. It responds to repetition. One intense week cannot replace a disciplined year. One emotional decision cannot replace a steady habit. Simple things work when done daily, not when done occasionally. And that's why success is simple, but not easy. Because easy means comfortable. And success demands growth. Easy keeps you safe. Growth makes you capable. Easy keeps you small. Growth makes you valuable. So the question is not, do you know what to do? The question is, will you do what you already know long enough to become someone new? Because when you commit to simple actions, even when they feel dull, even when they feel slow, even when they feel lonely, they begin to shape a life that feels powerful. Most people spend their lives waiting for permission. They wait for the right opportunity. They wait for the right moment. They wait for someone to tell them it's okay. But the truth is, the only permission you need is your own decision. You can wait forever for conditions to be perfect. The market might never be ready. The people might never approve. The timing might never feel right. And while you wait, your life slips by years, months, days, all passing while you hope someone else will decide for you. Waiting is easy. Action is hard. But here's the power shift that changes everything. Deciding today to become a better version of yourself is not complicated. It does not require approval. It does not require external circumstances. It only requires courage. It only requires commitment. Because every moment you delay, you reinforce the habit of waiting. Every moment you decide, you reinforce the habit of becoming. Deciding to grow means you take responsibility for your life. Not blame, not luck, not circumstance. Responsibility. Responsibility is heavy in the moment. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to look at yourself honestly. But it is also the source of freedom, because the moment you decide, you stop being a victim of life. You stop being at the mercy of events. You start being the architect of your own future. Some people think they can postpone decision. They say, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start next week by. I'll start after things settle down. The problem is things never settle down. Life keeps moving. Circumstances never pause. And tomorrow becomes a year, a decade, a lifetime of regret. When you decide to work on yourself, you don't just change your actions. You change your identity. You start thinking differently. You start acting differently. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You start creating solutions where others see problems. The person who decides is unstoppable. The person who delays is trapped. You have to understand growth is not a single event. It is a series of decisions. Each choice you make is a vote for the person you are becoming. Decide to read instead of scroll. Decide to exercise instead of sit. Decide to speak up instead of staying quiet. Decide to invest time in learning instead of complaining. Those decisions may feel small. They may feel insignificant, but compounded over time, they define who you are, and they define the life you live. The most successful people you admire did not wait for motivation. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They decided, they acted, they repeated, they became. Your future self is already waiting, looking back, judging your inaction, wishing you had chosen courage. And the truth is that future self is not angry because you failed. They are disappointed because you waited, because you hesitated, because you let the moment pass. Deciding to grow means you stop wishing, you stop hoping, you stop blaming. It means you step into the driver's seat of your life. You take control. You commit to becoming the person who can handle more, achieve more, give more, and live more. And that decision creates momentum. Momentum builds habits. Habits build character. Character builds results. And results build the life you have been waiting for. Every great life begins with a single decision. A decision to stop waiting. A decision to start improving. A decision to invest in yourself when no one else will. And the amazing part is, that decision doesn't require perfect conditions. It doesn't require approval. It doesn't require certainty. It only requires you to choose today. Because your life is nothing more than the sum of the decisions you make and the courage you take to follow through. Decide, act, repeat, grow. Look, here's the thing. All the ideas we've talked about, all the habits, all the standards, all the growth, they come down to one simple truth. You are your greatest project. Everything else, your job, your money, your relationships, your health, they are reflections of the person you are becoming. If you improve yourself, everything improves. But improving yourself isn't about luck. It isn't about waiting for the right opportunity. It isn't about hoping someone else fixes your problems. It's about deciding today to take responsibility for your life. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the things no one sees. It's about acting on your standards, living by your philosophy, and committing to your habits, day after day, moment after moment. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. But regret is heavier than any discomfort you'll face in the moment. Your future self is waiting, and they are begging you to start now. Start before you're ready. Start before you feel motivated. Start before conditions are perfect. Because the truth is, conditions will never be perfect. The perfect time is a myth. The perfect person doesn't exist. But you do exist, and you are capable of more than you realize. Every decision you make, every habit you create, every standard you raise, these are votes for the life you want. And one day, when you look back, you won't be wishing you had tried harder. You'll be thanking yourself. You'll be thanking yourself for the discipline you didn't skip. You'll be thanking yourself for the risks you took. You'll be thanking yourself for the person you refused to stop becoming. The world rewards those who show up. The world rewards those who grow. The world rewards those who refuse to settle. So today, decide to stop settling. Decide to improve your mind. Decide to improve your body. Decide to improve your character. Decide to improve your life. because the person you become is the life you will live. And there is no better time to start than right now.